Hey, what's going on, guys? It's me again with another crisp review, and today we're going to be looking at the Bandai 8-inch scale of Monster X from Godzilla Final Wars. And obviously this was the figure released right after Final Wars came out. It is the only technical Bandai Monster X version, so it was only released in the 8-inch scale, which is why it is currently pretty difficult to find for a reasonable price. I don't really know what the purpose of not releasing a 6-inch version was. I know that a lot of the figures that they were going to make ended up getting canceled due to the negative reception of the movie as expected, so the 6-inch version of this might have been coming in Wave 2 that never got released along with other monsters like Zilla. But we did get the 8-inch version, which is good, so it is now the only Bandai of the Monster X, which is one of my favorite kaiju. I know that he has an interesting kind of following where some people like him, some people really don't like him, but that's besides the point. As you can see, this figure is mostly just black and white, as he was in the movie in his short little encounters. The figure is cast in a very jet black vinyl, and with the white paint being applied over top of it, with some gray details and shadings along the tops of his heads and armbands and things of that nature. The only other color on him would be his eyes. As you can tell, they are red. But interestingly, this gray back here on his couple little tail spikes is more of a bluish gray, which is the only spot that color is on the entire figure. So that is one of the strange things that kind of sticks out. But the paint does continue along the back all the way down, and then even on the tail right here we get the last little bit of his spiderweb kind of bone armor pattern. But everything that should be painted, or in my opinion should be painted, is painted very well, and it does look very nice. There is not really any defects on mine. I haven't seen any defects from anybody else's either, so pretty good quality control on this release. Going into articulation, he is a little better than a lot of the standard figures. His head shoulders will move in and out kind of like this, so you can kind of get them in varying positions. Obviously, pushing them too far and they'll stick there or all the way back. His head is actually separated right here, so you can get it to rotate. Took me a while to figure that one out. And then his arms will go in and out, down to about there, and then out that far. And then he does swivel around at the waist. His legs move right here, and his feet are also separate as well. They don't move very far, so don't force them or the joints will pop out. And then on the back, his tail rotates here, 360, and then the bottom part of his tail as well. Overall, the detail on him does look very nice. There is a lot of intricate sculpting of all the bumps and ridges necessary on his body, especially with all these lines on his flesh texture almost. Carried out well in the chest with his very, very muscly kind of body scheme, very humanoid with the strange animalistic parts on top of him. He has this different texture on the back, which matches more closely to his bone texture, and down along the tail, the only thing that really isn't painted are these couple spots right here, but that's not a big deal. Tip of the tail is detailed nicely as well. It's got the split there. The tail isn't split, unfortunately, which would have been cool, but you can tell that it is supposed to be split. Then, of course, his arms have this really nice bone pattern as well with the armbands, and then all three of his heads are very nicely detailed as well, and the horns are sculpted with the kind of spiraling portions around them very nicely as well. And then his feet do have his little toenails / toes engraved in there, so those look nice as well. For sizing, since this was released only in the 8-inch scale, there are only three other figures that really do go with this one being the 8-inch version of Godzilla 2004, and the other two being the two versions of Gigan that were released. Even though Keizer Ghidorah is technically in the 9-inch scale, it is in scale with the 6-inch versions of the figures from this movie. But this is what those two look like next to each other, which is a pretty accurate sizing. I think they were more like on par with each other's height, but it could be from the fact that X is more hunched over and his knees are bent in comparison to Godzilla, who's more standing straight up. But it's who really cares? I mean, from a front standing perspective, they look fine next to each other, and considering there's very limited options on who to stand next to, this is definitely the easiest one to acquire. Here is X next to the Bandai Shin Godzilla, and then the SH Monster Arts GMK. As you can see, he towers over them. I mean, I'm just showing these just so you guys know how big he is. A lot of you guys have these, so I'm just throwing them in there. And then finally, for no reason in particular, we have the Bandai Gamera 96 and the NECA Ultimate Gypsy Danger. Originally, this figure does come with one of the tags. I don't have it here with me, but I'll throw up some pictures of it in case you haven't seen it. I just don't have it here at college in case I lose it, which would be unfortunate, considering half of these figures' value is derived directly from if they have the tag or not. And generally, this figure is interesting on pricing right now. You can find it for anywhere between $80 and $140, depending on condition or tag value. So it's definitely rare as a Bandai 8-inch, and the price really does vary on who you get it from. Generally, you're looking at around $100 on average. So if you do like X as much as I do, you might want to get it for the lowest price that you see it as, and even if you didn't want it at the time. I got mine when they first released, so it was only about $40, so definitely a good price, but for today's standards, it's hard to find, as are any of the 8-inch figures from this movie, being closely priced to Keizer Ghidorah and the Chainsaw Gigan. Overall, I really do like what they've done with the 8-inch Monster X. This is definitely one of my favorite figures in my collection, as he is one of my favorite kaiju. There's not really any problems with it in particular. It's just unfortunate that there's only an 8-inch version, not a 6-inch version, so that makes it very limited for people to find. I definitely recommend you guys go and find one of these. It really, really is a nice figure to have, especially if you're trying to complete a Godzilla Final Wars collection. But that's going to be it for this one, and I'll see you guys in the next one.